last time you were here, Sheikh, you were telling us about pick a woman who can give you offspring and who is truthful. So I've been racking my brain. How can I tell if she can have babies? I mean, I can only look at her hands and her face, and I'm not a doctor by any means, but I played one on TV. But I can't, how can I tell if she can have babies?
When the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that, تزوجوا الولود الودود, and encouraged us to choose one who can bear children. That can be recognized simply by looking into her family and sisters, and her mom, her sisters, background check.
No.
In addition to being healthy. So, of course, those apparent factors can help making a decision. Otherwise, the fact whether a woman or a man can have children or not, this is in the knowledge of the unseen. Similarly, a man would run some medical checkup to find out if he's capable to have children or not.
I mean, it's a bit awkward to ask some woman that we're going to get married, so go and get yourself a medical checkup. I want to see whether you're clean before I marry you.
Well, no, not exactly like that. But talking about, there is a very serious thing, that sometimes when a couple have a certain blood group, like, when the female have the Rh factor is negative and the male has the Rh positive, that can cause so many complications in the second and third pregnancy.
Like
the Prophet ﷺ says, لا ضرر ولا ضرار, you should not harm nor should you be harmed. And accordingly, he said that no one of you will become a perfect believer unless he loves for himself, for his brother, what he loves for himself. So if a person, for instance, is living with some chronic illnesses, this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I should be honest with myself and with the person whom I'm proposing for, sharing the fact that I'm sick, I live with this illness.
Maybe she doesn't want to live with that illness also.
Exactly. Same thing with the girl. Unfortunately, some people propose and they don't mind having some sexual transmitted diseases, and they don't share this fact with their future mates, which is not fair. That's totally prohibited.
I heard of a case where a sister in, I believe it was Kenya, got married, but her husband gave her AIDS, and he had it before they got married, and she didn't tell him, and she was asking if she could get a divorce because of it.
It's kind of too late. Anyway, if a person doesn't know, that's different. But if a person knows, then he should be honest, or she should be honest.
Well, then it will be violated if you don't spell it out what it really
absolutely. Absolutely.
So your nikah is violated for that.
Well, it depends on the approval of the other party. If they agree to live with it, if it's something really big, would affect the life, would affect having a husband and wife relationship, then it would be given the right, even if it is for a woman, to approve it or to disapprove it, and then it will be reversed.
MashaAllah. Well, what about the custom now that we are with the women's married, that we exchange rings, things like that? Are there in a part of Islam?
Number one, I have come across of some people when I see them, even during Hajj, wearing a gold ring.
Gold ring, yeah.
Yeah, and I say, Sheikh, this is prohibited. The Prophet ﷺ once saw one of his companions wearing a gold ring and said that, would you like to wrap a burning coal around your finger? So he said no, and he threw it away. And the Prophet ﷺ once held gold and silk in one hand and said, these two objects are prohibited for the men of my ummah, but permissible for the women. So they say that a person once said to me that, if I ever take it off my finger, my wife would think that I don't like her anymore. I don't love her anymore.
I'm pronouncing a divorce.
But it was not the custom of the
whether it's
Islam.
Gold or silver, that it's not a custom of Islam. It's perfectly okay to wear a silver ring if you're a male, outside marriage. But to wear a ring, particularly as this is a sign of marriage, it's not stated in Islam. However, everybody knows this is, taken from another culture.
From Judeo-Christianity.
No, exactly.
So,
I remember to discuss a very important thing, which is that happens sometimes, and it happened to two of my friends. They were two interested in the same girl.
No, I was,
And they both wanted to propose, but one of them was faster. The Prophet ﷺ treated this situation by saying that no one should propose if he knows that somebody else is proposing for the same girl. Unless...
What if you don't know?
Oh, well, that's different.
that's a
But
different
if
kind
you
of
know,
worms.
you should step back and wait. If they approve him and everything goes all right, then it's over. And if they don't and they refuse him,
Jump in.
then you can jump in. You can go ahead and try.
Take the
You
try.
try your luck.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's prohibited to compete. It's not an auction, though.
Didn't you have a question on
Yeah, actually, like for instance, I'm 24 years old. Like we all know, because we've talked about
so
that
young.
before.
baby, man. Breast smells like Similac.
And I'm looking forward, inshallah, for marriage. I always had this idea of istikhara, because istikhara, as the Sheikh will say and clarify, it's a way that we ask Allah to choose for us whatever direction we want to take in life or choice.
It's correct.
And therefore, I believe it's very important and it's a must to do that for in my situation before I get married, inshallah. So, Sheikh, what do you have to say about this?
You know, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ said that the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to teach us istikhara, the prayer of istikhara, consulting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their affairs, as he would teach us a chapter of the Quran, a surah or a verse of the Quran. To the point that the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, one of them would pray istikhara prior to purchasing a pair of shoes, because Allah knows best. Marriage is a big decision.
Huge.
Yeah, it is.
You know.
Huge. Yes.
Yeah, it is. And people tend to ask everybody,
Exactly.
friends, people who knows the other party and so on. And they ignore the most knowledgeable one, Allah, who knows best.
The future
So
and the
consulting
past.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking Him to choose for you what's best by saying, oh Allah, I ask you by your knowledge, by your power of knowing the unseen, since you know and I don't know, I know nothing. So if you know that proposing or getting married to this girl or to this boy is good for me, for my religion, for this dunya and for the hereafter, so make it easy for me. And if not, then take me away from it and keep it away from me and give me better than that. So whatever Allah would choose for you is best for you. So after making all the efforts, trying to make the right choice and keeping in mind a particular girl, don't propose before making istikhara.
What about love? How love play part in that? Is it love come first, or someone decide first you get married and then it comes within your marriage?
You know, Ahmed, really, through experience, the real love is that which grows within the marriage life.
Within the marriage life, yes.
When a person observes the previous factors of choosing the life mate, which we discussed, and puts on top the religious commitment, the good manners, and morals, definitely love would come as a natural result of all of that, which would lead to a happy life. You know, once a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said that I was raising an orphan girl. Now two people are proposing for her. One of them is rich, whom we like.
Of course.
And one is extremely poor. He have nothing, but she likes him. So the Prophet ﷺ said that there is no better remedy, a treatment for love better than marriage. If she likes that person, you know, and we're talking about the pure love, without a relationship, without dating, without, you know, having chatting on the internet for hours
love
and
at
days.
first look or something like that.
You know, hearing about a person with good qualities, you know, seeing good morals of a person, so you like that person. So the Prophet ﷺ said that he gave a priority to the person whom the girl likes. And once Sayyiduna Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, asked the Prophet ﷺ, O Prophet of Allah, whom do you love the most? He said, and what do you ask? He said, just to know. He said, Aisha. So Amr ibn al-As actually was not asking about, women. He was asking about the Prophet's companions. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned whom he loves the most of those who are alive.
Her father.
So he said, Aisha. She said, no, I'm talking about men. So the Prophet ﷺ said, her father.
MashaAllah.
So love is a fact and is a reality which Islam as a religion does not ignore, but treats it in the proper manner. You know, في Surah Yusuf, it tells us about how the Aziz wife was interested in Yusuf. And when the rich woman of the high society blamed her and so on, she prepared a feast for them and she asked Yusuf to cross in front of them, where they cut their hands. قُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. They couldn't believe that he's, and they said, oh, you know what, you're not blameworthy anymore. Yeah, well, he deserves to be loved.
And it said he had half the beauty, Yusuf had half the beauty.
Yeah. Well, in this case, love is a fact, is a reality. But as long as it is within the boundaries of halal, and it can be concluded in a proper manner, which is marriage, then it's accepted. But allowing oneself to read novels,
have puppy love, and
that you're getting into a very dangerous area.
I think that's a fictional love, like what we read. It's not true.
Well,
when it comes to reality, it's really fictional.
Yeah, what you read and you see in the movies, in the romance movies, that has nothing to do with love. That's obviously a romanticized version of what love is. I'm going to run in and grab us a couple sandwiches. You know what a sandwich is? It's a really big sandwich. So inshallah, I'll be back in a couple of minutes with those sandwiches.
Okay, Jazakallah.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Jazakallah.
Ask Huda.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have 2 questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father has the way and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can we give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah or the act of worship is a part of the unity of worship. It has to be paid to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in accordance with the guidance of his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The hadith that you just mentioned about the woman having she has rights to say no. You just can't go say I'm marrying this woman and she can't say no.
Absolutely. You know what the problem is really that we mix and confuse the issues. We confuse what's religious and what's cultural. But when we study our religion and understand it perfectly, we know that it was the first to give rights to everybody. Not only to men, not only to women, but to everybody, even to animals. So in this hadith, it shows that the approval of the girl was necessary for the approval of the marriage. A lady came to the Prophet ﷺ and said that, Ya Rasulullah, my father married me without my will. So the Prophet ﷺ reversed her marriage. And another girl came once to the Prophet ﷺ and said that, Ya Rasulullah, my father married me to his nephew for a reason or another. And she did not approve that marriage. So the Prophet ﷺ gave her the choice if she wants to approve it or if she wants to reverse it. It will be void. So she said, well, I will approve what my father did. So what was the purpose of your coming and complaining? She said, I only wanted to give a message to women that no one can force them to marry without their approval, without their permission.
Well, this is for the girls who was not married before. What about girls who are already married? Does she still need a...
Either way, because the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تنكح الأيم حتى تستأمر ولا تنكح البكر حتى تستأذن. And it's very interesting that the Prophet ﷺ showed us the sign as how a girl who have never been married before would show an approval, yes or no. He said that for a bikr, for a girl who have never been married, إذنها سكوتها. So whenever the guardian would ask her, would you accept such and such to marry you? So if she doesn't say anything, that's a sign of approval.
It
means
yes.
She like it.
You know?
She like it.
You know, and this is a sign of haya and shyness and modesty.
She didn't like him, she let you know.
Yeah, exactly. Keep in balance between this and the opinion and the approval of the wali, the guardian. Because it was reported that the Prophet ﷺ says that لا نكاح إلا بولي. There is no valid marriage without the approval of the guardian. So if we have both, the approval of the wali and the approval of the girl, and we have the standard measures, which we have discussed earlier, as on top religious commitment.
No.
Well, my question again is that we talk about the permission of the girls to say that he wants to get married, right? But on the terms of the wali also has to agree to get married.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, what if this girl is already been married and she's divorcee and she now want to get married? Does she has to get the wali to approve again, or she can just approve?
Even if she's divorced, the approval of the wali is necessary for the validity of her marriage, even if she has been married before.
MashaAllah.
No. The wali plays a very important role. It's not just to sit home, wait for somebody to propose to his daughter and ask for her hand. No. The wali would also look around, maybe
Can he go
he would
find
find, you know, a righteous person, a young man who's having the qualities which he would assume that he could be a good candidate for his daughter. There is nothing wrong at all with asking him and proposing to him and asking him and offering him to marry his daughter.
I'd actually find that quite flattering if someone came to me and said, hey, I think you're a pretty decent guy. Why don't you come over and meet my daughter?
If you live in a true Muslim society, that will be very, very often happening. Why? You have Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her. She proposed to the Prophet ﷺ and she was the woman. In the presence of the companions, once a lady came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to marry you. She gave up herself to the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ looked at her because he was inspecting the lady. And then he changed his mind. And he didn't say anything, not to embarrass her. Then another companion popped up and said, Ya Rasulullah, since you're not interested, I would like to marry her. So the Prophet ﷺ said, well, he notices that the lady did not disapprove that. She didn't mind. She wanted to get married. So he said, what do you have? He said, as a mean of dowry. He said, I don't have anything other than my izar, which is, you know, a sheet to be wrapped around the waist. He said, well, if you give it to her, you will be without izar. التمس ولو خاتما من حديد. Look around, maybe you can find even an iron ring. He said, I can't. I don't have any. So the Prophet ﷺ said, well, do you memorize anything of the Quran? So he mentioned that he had memorized such and such surah and such and such surah. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I'll marry you to her with whatever you have memorized of the Quran. So that the Quran was a dowry in this case to teach her whatever he memorized of the Quran. You know?
That's beautiful.
The approval of the wali is necessary. The approval of the girl is necessary. And a wali may propose to somebody whom he assumes that he could be a good candidate for his daughter.
How come it was
Or
so
for
much
her.
easier for the Sahaba and the earlier generations to get married than it is for the later generations? Because they were closer to the message?
If we go back to religion, things will become easy. If we go back to the practices of Prophet Muhammad Salah A and his first generation, the companions, things will be wonderful. There, Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, once offered Uthman ibn Affan to marry his daughter Hafsa. He said, yeah, Uthman, if you're interested in Hafsa, I mean, I don't mind. So Uthman said, let me think about it. Then a few days later, Umar once again offered him and proposed to him. But he said, you know what, yeah, Umar, I'm thinking that I'm not going to get married. Actually, that was after Uthman lost his wife.
The daughter of the Prophet.
Naam, the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ruqayya. Everybody wanted to compliment him and to take him out of this sorrow and sadness. So Umar ibn Khattab went to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and said, he offered him Hafsa, if you want to marry to Hafsa. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq did not answer at all. And that's why Umar was kind of upset with Abu Bakr, because he didn't give him any answer. At least Uthman did answer. A few days later, the Prophet ﷺ came and proposed to Hafsa. And Umar was extremely happy. Now his daughter is the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. So Abu Bakr came to him and said, Ya Umar, do you remember the day when you offered me Hafsa? He said, yes. He said, probably you got mad at me and you were upset. He said, yes. He said, let me tell you this. I have heard the Prophet ﷺ mentioning Hafsa, so I figured out that he was interested in her. So I didn't want to reveal the secret of the Prophet ﷺ. It was as simple as that. The Quran relates to us the story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi with this rich man, the father of the two girls, who said to him, إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين على أن تأجرني 8 حجج فإن أتممت 10 فمن عندك. It was actually the man who offered Musa alayhi salam to marry to his own daughter. You know? But based on what? Musa was extremely poor. He had no house, he had no food, he had nothing. So he offered him housing, a wife, and a job. Why all of that?
Of his characters?
Because of his honesty and his strength of iman, strength of power. That's why when his daughter said to him, Ya abat istajir, Dad, hire him. The best one to hire is Al-Qawiy Al-Amin. He's strong and he's honest and trustworthy. So it was very much accepted. Why not nowadays, if I think that Abdul Rahman is a good person and I have a girl at marriageable age that I discuss with my daughter and I offer her. And if she approves him, why not? I can talk to him. I can propose to him my own daughter, my own sister. Nothing wrong with that.
But Sheikh, I had this question that just popped in my mind, is that back in the days I heard this hadith, I'm not sure, I heard it from people, for Allah Alam. I heard that the Prophet ﷺ said, and the meaning of the hadith is that we should make the wife live the life that she had with her parents, or almost the same. Like, make her live in approximately the same life of her social class that she used to have. So,
you know, Ya Abdul Rahman, once a man used to serve the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam liked him, and this man was extremely poor. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once offered him, "Won't you get married?" He said, "No, Ya Rasulullah, I would rather serve you." Basically, he didn't have any means of getting married. So once again, the Prophet ﷺ offered him, "Won't you get married?" So he said, "You know what? If the Prophet ﷺ offers me for the 3rd time, I would definitely accept the offer." Which the Prophet ﷺ did offer him for the 3rd time. So the man said, Ya Rasulullah, and whom would accept me, as a husband of their daughter or their girl? So the Prophet ﷺ, yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ sent him and said, go to such and such house and tell them that the Prophet ﷺ wants me to marry to your daughter. So he did. But they objected that he didn't have any means. He was extremely poor. So the Prophet ﷺ encouraged his companions to collect funds for him, which they did, to the point that they fixed him a feast, walima, and they celebrated together that feast of his wedding. So when it comes to wealth, it should not be considered as a determining factor, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِن يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. If they be poor, Allah will enrich them out of His bounty.
And you can see too, the Sahaba didn't think that way. When Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, married his son to the daughter of a milkmaid.
Exactly.
Because of her honesty.
You have a good memory, Ismail, mashallah. No. طيب, I would say I have to go somewhere. But inshallah, hopefully, I will be able to meet you tomorrow.
Inshallah.
I really enjoyed meeting with you. Thank you, Ismail, for inviting us. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. وصلى الله عليه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام. جزاك الله. I'll walk you to the door, ya Shaykh.
That can cause so many complications in the second and third pregnancy.
Like
The Prophet ﷺ says, لا ضرر ولا ضرار. You should not harm, nor should you be harmed. And accordingly, he said that no one of you will become a perfect believer unless he loves for himself, for his brother, what he loves for himself. So if a person, for instance, is living with some chronic illnesses, this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I should be honest with myself and with the person whom I'm proposing for, sharing the fact that I'm sick, I live with this illness.
Maybe she doesn't want to live with that illness also.
Exactly, knowledge of the unseen. Similarly, a man would run some medical checkup to find out if he's capable to have children or not.
I mean, it's a bit awkward to ask some woman that we're going to get married, so go and get yourself a medical checkup. I want to see whether you're clean before I marry you.
Well, no, not exactly like that. But talking about, there is a very serious thing, that sometimes when a couple have certain blood group, like, when the female have the Rh factor is negative and the male has the Rh positive, he upon him said that, تزوجوا الولود الودود, and encouraged us to choose one who can bear children. That can be recognized simply by looking into her family and sisters, and her mom, her sisters, background checkup.
No.
In addition to being healthy. So, of course, those apparent factors can help making a decision. Otherwise, the fact whether a woman or a man can have children or not, this is in the not. Exactly. Same thing with the girl. Unfortunately, some people propose and they don't mind having some sexual transmitted diseases, and they don't share this fact with their future mates, which is not fair. That's totally prohibited.
I heard of a case where a sister in, I believe it was Kenya, got married, but her husband gave her AIDS, and he had it before they got married, and she didn't tell him, and she was asking if she could get a divorce because of it.
It's kind of too late. Anyway, if a person doesn't know, that's different. But if a person knows...
Last time you were here, Sheikh, you were telling us about pick a woman who can give you offspring and who is truthful. So I've been racking my brain. How can I tell if she can have babies? I mean, I can only look at her hands and her face, and I'm not a doctor by any means, but I played one on TV. But I can't, how can I tell if she can have babies?
When the Prophet, peace